Call this meeting to order. Everything you need to know about this meeting is located at the door and rockridgepublicschools.org. Please silence your phones and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the record reflect that we have all board members here. Okay. Number 2, approve the agenda. Can I?
Are you going to amend the agenda before
Yeah.
we call for approval?
Yeah,
Call to order first?
call to order.
Oh, sorry.
Call to order.
Roll.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
Roll call's good. Okay. Approval of the agenda. Any agenda additions or deletions? I have a few. I want to remove 8.3 for no discussion at this time until the board can relook at it. 8.3 would be the equity plan. I would add to 6.5, don't kill me, Frank Waternick, how do you say that? Okay, is going to speak on the ice time. I've allowed him to speak on the ice time at 6.5. I do believe the mayor of Evelyn is here too as well. And 5.4, we're going to pull that one completely as well. Okay, any other?
Are we having a work study on those two topics or work session? What's the plan for the co-ops? Co-ops?
Not the co-ops, the,
Equity plan?
Co-op's not being
not a co-op, no, not the co-op, it's the
equity.
Equity plan.
5.4, or 8.4 is equity plan.
But what did you say about,
5.4. He's all long.
5.4 is,
You're going to let him talk during it or at the beginning of the meeting?
Frank? He will speak at.
It's 6.5.
At 6.5.
Okay.
okay.
I'll make a motion that we adopt.
Another change. I didn't have a chance yet.
Okay,
Okay, so I, under the consent agenda, 5.5, I'd like to remove that, and I'd actually like 5.5, approval of hire to the school-age child care coordinator position.
5.
I'd like to actually delete that from our agenda and have some more information and some more discussion on that.
Okay, 5.5. You want to just delete it completely or
I move to delete it completely, and
for further discussion?
Right.
Okay.
just like 8.3, I suppose,
You want further discussion at this meeting or at a different time?
not a different time.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's my.
I'm just going to pull it completely then. We won't have any more discussion on that, okay?
And then 6.5, I'll move that we discuss it tonight, but take no action.
Well, I do believe that was the, I don't believe any action can be taken because there's no numbers attached to it.
Okay?
There's no dollar amount attached to ice time.
Ice time recommendation, okay, it didn't say consider, okay. Perfect. Okay,
Okay. Any other additions and deletions?
So I just, a question. So 6.5, you said, no action to be taken on that
On the ice time?
of the, regarding the ice time? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's what Polly wants, well, no action. And you can't take any action because there's no dollar. I mean, how can you take action on something that there's no dollar?
Dollars attached to it.
Dollar amount attached to it.
Okay, but we're still having discussion on that.
Yes, yes, we are.
Okay.
that just said a report on competitive sports and a report on ice time recommendation.
Are we going to vote on the consent agenda deletion or just,
We'll just, as it was all amended or it was all amended.
We're kind of getting convoluted there because we should put it, you guys put consent agendas in on the regular agenda. We don't, normally
Okay,
don't
all right,
remove consent
okay.
agenda items till we get to the consent agenda.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so we can approve the agenda as amended. Motion?
so moved?
I'll support.
Moved by Director Riordan, support by Director Buhan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we're gonna go to number 3, visitor input. We had one person sign up for visitor input. I do believe it was Terry Ratke. You did sign up?
It was Dan.
Oh, it's Dan. Okay. So Dan is speaking, not Terry.
Correct.
Okay, all right, okay, Dan, come on up and. Your name is Dan, what's your last name, Dan?
Radke.
Okay.
Are you doing time?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep. You got 3 minutes, Dan.
Okay,
All righty, thank you.
this is about the equity plan deal. Use the background on that. I would like to start out with, when we look at our country, I think that it's quite obvious that we're on a downhill trajectory. Economically, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. Probably in the next 3 to 6 months, our dollar system, if it doesn't collapse totally, we'll have another round of rampant inflation. People don't see it's coming. It's coming big time. My question is that why? One of the reasons why is because they pass all these bills in Congress. Some of them nobody even reads. Nobody wants to ask the hard questions. Who wrote the bill? What was the philosophy of the people who wrote the bill? What were the objectives of these people that wrote the bill? A lot of people getting rich in Washington. And now we're doing it in the schools. And I ask you as board members, when you vote on these bills, this equity bill, what's the objective? Have you looked who wrote it? What was their philosophy? What's their background? What is their true objectives? Ask the hard questions. That's actually your job. Can you explain it? And I'm asking you, don't vote for any bill you can't. If you can't do that, we're gonna be in the same shape our country's in as a school. I'm a little bit of a numbers guy. I got a nephew that's an actuary. And when you look at the numbers, sometimes it's hard to find them. So I looked at the equity plans, the diversity, equity, inclusion, and are any studies done that this actually helps our academic performances? You're not going to find much. I did find one. You know what the results were? The achievement gaps are wider in schools that hire these kind of people.
Okay, Dan, you've got your 3 minutes already, I'm sorry. But thank you for coming to speak to the board.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Well,
Thank you.
I ask the hard questions. Don't vote for stuff like this.
Okay.
You don't know. You will lose school kids over it.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks. Up next is the construction update. Ross Anderson. Why is it?
Evening, board. Back again. A little different tonight, not going to talk the big projects in the referendum, but this is kind of an add-on project, which is the HVAC systems in this administrative building for the district. Talked a lot about it over the last 2 years. Pretty aging systems, and at one time we were just going to replace all the exterior units. Then when we dug into the wrestling portion of the building to get that up and running to meet code, we found a lot of moisture in the units and a lot of issues with mold and that type of thing. And then got some direction from the facilities committee for the board. So this is in response to that. And Morgan has this all put together, and we will talk about it here and ask for a vote at the end.
Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I got to present, so it's nice to see everyone again. As you see, our cover slide has changed a little bit. We've added the district administration building upgrades to the set of projects that we've been working on within the referendum. Agenda, we're going to go over why this mechanical upgrade would be necessary. We'll go through the scope of work included in the bid numbers that you guys will see. We'll see the bid results, schedule milestones, and then we'll be open for questions and approval. Why is a mechanical upgrade necessary? The first one is that the existing ground-mounted RTUs are at the end of their useful life. This makes significant cost and maintenance required. We need to improve the reliability of the units. Current units have had several breakdowns. There's been moisture and mold issues, as Patrick has talked about. The School Board Facilities Committee gave instruction to move units inside the building to extend the lifespan of the new units, so these problems don't happen in the future. And this will help improve indoor air quality. The new units will be more energy efficient, and this will improve the heating and cooling controls. This is our kind of schematic design in the beginning. Mostly what I want to get on this slide is that this will be servicing the southern portion of the district administration building. This will be phase 1. Project layout. This is kind of zoomed out version of the project layout where the work will actually happen. The majority of the work will be right within the space, the center of the southern portion, I will call it. There needs to be 5 masonry patches. These are where the exterior units currently sit, and they have ductwork that penetrate through the exterior brick that will need to be patched. This is where future air handling units fed by the new boilers would sit.
Just orient them on the wrestling.
The wrestling space is within this portion, right? Project layout, this is our zoomed in version. This will be the new mechanical room. Within that mechanical room is the boiler room. There will be added walls to create the mechanical room. This wall right here with a set of doors for access. There will be another wall added here as far as code compliance and fire rating. There will be 4 boilers which will service the entire building. Those will sit within the boiler room. Added walls to create a boiler room. This is also a fire rating code compliance part of the project. And there will be 2 water heaters. These will service the entire building. And 2 air handling units, which will service the southern portion of the building. Within the scope of work, there will also be reconfiguration of the sprinkler system.
That's the gas meter, it works out really good.
Yeah, the gas meter is in the side of the building as well. So this will the gas meter will service everything while right in the space. There'll be some work on the roof. We'll have 2 condensers sitting up there, and to support the condensers will be structural steel. There'll be some steel in the interior for the structural components, and then some posts penetrating the roof, which will have the frames that the condensers will be sitting on within it. Bid results. This is a compilation of all the bids. We've gone through the bid tabbing process to find the lowest responsible bidders. And I will go through each individual work scope further on in this presentation. One that I want to bring attention to is the combined mechanical number. That is going to be a large portion of this work. As you've heard me talk, you've probably heard me talk mostly mechanical components. Within this number will be the 2 new hot water heaters, 4 new boilers, 2 new interior air handling units, the 2 new roof-mounted condensers, installation, the associated plumbing and duct work, and also mechanical control work. One thing that's not listed that is within that number as well is the concrete cutting and patching.
Am I not, just not seeing it, but the structural steel to support roof-mounted condensers, is that in here too?
The structural steel.
Am I missing it?
The combined structural steel number. So that would be 05B.
Okay, thanks.
So with the mechanical room being, having an access from the outside, why would you put the condensers on the roof and create a penetration through a roof? Why would you just not put them outside where safety and serviceability would be much easier than having a person go on the roof?
So the access, are you talking about to the mechanical room? Or are you
I'm talking to the condensing units.
Yep, but
Why would you put them on a roof?
why put them on the roof?
Right. I mean, it creates noise, for one thing, vibration and noise, and why would you put them on the ground, being that, you put them on the ground outside for serviceability and, and less noise of the thing running on the roof, vibration and such.
Okay, my understanding was the relative placement to the air handling units. They're going to be right above the air handling units. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct. And one of the other things too, you're right. I mean, a lot of times we try to put them outside. I don't know if you walked around this building this winter, but pretty much 6 to 8 feet of snow.
Same as the roof.
That's all been covered. Not much on the roof.
I would,
Because it's a single slope.
Yeah.
When we did look at that, we thought it would be, first of all, the direction they try to get these air handlers indoor in the building, so then it pays to put it in the center, as you well know, for duct distribution. So then it made more sense to put the condenser on the roof directly above it.
but you're,
And to take out all of those slabs on the exterior of the building and clean up that whole exterior.
so you have the air handling units in what part of the building?
So the air handling units will sit in this spot right here where the arrow's pointing, and then with this, in this space.
So where would the air handling units sit in conjunction to that picture?
Within this picture,
Yeah, well, would they be right above it?
Yeah.
or the condensers,
Okay, so you're, okay. All right. How many tonnage are those? Do you know what tonnage they are? I mean, is this a big building to cool?
I'll look, because the plans are right here.
Well, they want some steel to support the condensers, so
Yes.
must
They
be.
gotta be,
He's talking cooling tonnage, though.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, cooling tonnage.
Switched it up on you, Paul, yeah, huh?
there's two kinds.
So they're about 20 tons each. I mean, so you're gonna have some pretty tremendous ductwork.
Wouldn't be ductwork up to those would have coolant lines that would come down to the air handlers. The air handlers.
Right, that's right. I mean, but for 2 units, I mean, they're gonna be about 20 tons each, because you got how many 10-ton units surrounding this building? So you're gonna have something that's comparable to the tonnage.
We got 267 and 225 million BTU units.
That's on the heating?
This is on the condensing units themselves.
Yeah, how many is that?
225 and 267 million BTU.
It'd be like 20 tons each. 18.
Which each of those units was about 20 tons.
20 tons, not in weight. It's not weight.
No.
It's not weight.
There's a
On a
difference.
BTUs of cooling, it's 20 tons. So to educate the people in the audience, there's 12,000 BTUs per ton of cooling. Okay? So, all right. I mean, that's a,
And they'll actually sit, like Morgan had said, up on legs, so just,
Right.
that's a single slope roof up there that's rubber. We're gonna just penetrate in those 4 locations for each of those units, mount a frame up on top, and then put the cooling unit up. So it'll be up off the roof a little bit too for that snow.
yeah.
and the advertisement for bid did go out for this in the Wasabi Tribune on the 2nd and Hometown Focus on the 3rd. So where would this be funded from if it were to be approved? This would reimburse the referendum project for the $1.2 million total, as shown on this page. All the combined bids. And it would be reimbursed from the deferred maintenance, long-term facilities maintenance funding source.
We just wanted to make it clear that there are different buckets of money, I'll call them, colors of money. The general fund, which is the operating budget, which is what it takes to run the school and the teacher salaries and staff, that is not the fund that this would come out of. Nor to be longer-term capital funds, and I see Spencer's in the audience, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, Spencer. But this is the deferred maintenance, long-term facilities dollars that it would come from. Is that correct?
Yes, it would either come from the deferred maintenance or capital. I'm sure there may be some from the deferred, some from capital.
So to dig into the bids a little deeper, the lowest responsible bidder for 4A masonry was Harbor City Masonry. They were your contractor on the Rockbridge High School. Their base bid was $13,810. And Bedrock Flint, who was also a contractor on the high school, came in second with $15,537. Workscope 5B1, Red Cedar Steel, who was a contractor in the North Star Elementary, was the low bidder with a bid of $37,890. NIE, another contractor from the high school, Carpentry. I'm sure this name is familiar to everyone. The local contractor is Lindsay. Their bid was $35,800. Metal studs and drywall was Mulcahy. They are contractor. They were contracted to Laurentian and I believe North Star as well. Their bid came in at $39,950. As far as painting goes, Swanson and Youngdale came in with the low bid at $11,965, with Steinbrecher at $24,700. Fire suppression, absolute fire protection, base bid $18,600. With Summit Fire Protection coming in second at $21,950. Combined mechanical, one thing I would point out here is how close these numbers were and the magnitude of everything that was included. Shannon's was the low bidder, responsible low bidder, at $898,000. With Iron Range Plumbing and Heating coming in at second, and RJ Mechanical coming in at third. Another really close scope here, Hunt Electric, the low bidder for the combined electrical, $46,914. With Nelson Colley, another local contractor, $48,400. And Hart Electric at $53,700. We went through the standard bid tabbing process that we go through with all of the projects that we've done for you, where I go and call all these bidders, make sure everything is included, and that we're all comparing apples to apples here and nothing is forgotten. Milestone schedule, when is going to happen. We are here tonight for board approval. Project start would be in May of 2023. Substantial completion, September 2023, but this is going to be determined by those long lead material items. And specific, we're concerned about the mechanical and electrical items to hit that substantial completion date.
One of the things the designers did is they looked at two things when they designed your equipment. One was, could it be broken down to get through a 30-foot wide door and then reassembled in the mechanical room, and they did comply with that. And then they also looked at availability when they did the design. So should be a pretty quick delivery time, but you never know until you authorize the contract and then put the orders in.
The air handling units that we're looking at right now have an 8 to 10 week lead time. But like Patrick said, it will depend on after they actually get those orders, you know, how things can fluctuate.
And just so the board knows that phase one is only phase one for that price. You're only doing half the building. You still will have another half of the building to do.
But you do have boilers
Yeah.
and hot water heaters for the entire building.
I'm just saying it probably ain't gonna be, you know, it's not gonna be that much. I mean, it'll be less, but you know, it'll still probably be in the 600,000 plus to kind of have them come back, if not more.
And this can, I want to also note that this will include controls work to tie into your existing building management system that the high school, the Laurentian, and the North Star and Parkview eventually will all be on. So you'll be able to monitor this building just like monitoring the others.
So they come in, take all the ceiling tile out, put all their stuff in, put the ceiling tile back in, or what do they do? Do they replace the ceiling tile?
For,
The renovation?
it's an exposed ceiling within the mechanical space,
Okay.
so they won't have to take any ceiling tile down.
So what happens when they get to here?
You get to hear, yeah, there'll be some work above the ceiling.
an additional cost to take that stuff down and,
Most of it'll be run off the unit itself though, from that mechanical room, because that's where the building management will tie into the head end.
Do you guys have any other questions?
The other thing too that you are paying for now that you won't have to pay for later is that boiler room. I mean, that does need to have all fire rated walls, everything to do with that. Because those boilers are located near the gas meter and they are rated, you're not gonna have to repeat that cost.
what are we talking for boilers, Pat? What are you talking for boilers? I mean, what kind of boilers are we, what kind of boilers are we, I mean, are they
I can look.
standard efficiency, high efficiency,
High efficiency.
ModCon, or what?
Condensing boilers.
They're condensing? What brand name?
I think they gave a couple of.
I'm sorry, Pat. You know I was gonna ask these questions.
It's all right, that's why these are in front of you.
That's good.
Did you
Good.
notice that?
Well, no, I do now.
All right, these are the Relo condensing boilers.
Never heard of them.
X-Pro 117s.
Never had any service calls on them,
Yeah, never had any service calls. Really, all right?
Yep, Relio.
Okay.
RELLO.
Yeah, RELLO.
And they are, yeah, I've got all the specs.
What are they?
How's that work? We'll skip the middleman.
Yeah, there you go.
So the boilers are right here. Right across. And these were the condensers up here.
Maybe you can take a look at that later, Bill.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, all right. Here you go,
He
Pat.
knows that we love plans,
We
right?
just got a meeting to keep moving. That's the
Yes.
problem. We have a problem with,
He does know that.
yeah, I do know that.
I'll take it back.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve.
Here we got a motion by Director Reardon. And a second?
Support.
Support by Director Lotiger. Although, any more discussion?
My only question is, what does that do for our efficiencies? I know said they're high efficiency, but right now, I mean, we're, what, 75% efficient or
You're
something?
probably 72% on the heating on forced air, and you are probably 10 SEER if you're lucky on the AC.
I'm gonna go to what, do you think, Pat?
And dropping, I would add, because as they're getting older, they're getting
Yeah,
less.
they don't drop that much.
The percent of efficiency on these, I'd have to look at.
I didn't look, I didn't get a chance to look. But they're modulating with a 15-to-1 turn down, so they're gonna be,
And these will rotate as well, that's why there's two.
Leg.
Instead of having one big boiler, which you could do. It's two boilers, so only the one will run at a time. During the peak time, the second one will kick in. And when one's running, it'll modulate back and forth. And any one time, the boilers will rotate back and forth.
any more discussion?
So after phase one is completed, then we would go to phase two. And I'm just wondering, do we have a projection of what that could cost us and how we're going to pay for that?
First of all, you gotta figure out how you're gonna pay for this.
Well, I know, that's why it's like, this is just phase one, and then we still have phase two.
Couple of things to answer your question. One is, you've already paid for the design, which they did phase one, got these out on the street, and they're finishing phase two plans right now for the mechanical. So the design will be completed already. You've authorized that in the past. I would think that you're gonna be bumping up against $1 million for the other half of the building. But I'm basing that, not having that design in my hands right now, but just looking at the cost of these, the fact that we did a lot of those things up front, and then you look at inflation between now and the time you do it, it's gonna be near $1 million.
So when we're doing, are we gonna have two different separate systems running in between phase one and phase two?
You can have the old ground mount units still running on their isolated system, and then you'll have the new system running on the building management system, yes. But those are isolated spaces, so when we pick that line between phases, that is isolated out.
So the board already approved going out for the design for phase one. We already approved it, now you've gone out for the bids, and these are the bids. So the board went out for the design of it, but are we to decide now if we want to go through with it, if we can afford it?
So
Can we afford it?
That's our decision, right? Even though we've gone out for the design.
So the design had to be done holistically in the building to decide what size those boilers would be unless you had the design for the whole building. So yes, you have design for the whole building. All we're asking for construction-wise is phase one.
So, I mean, I'm just making an analogy. If I go out and get some quotes to put a porch on my house, once I get those, I might decide, well, maybe I can't afford that. So all I'm saying is this analogous to going out for quotes, having the design phase done? We don't necessarily have to do this if we don't think we can afford it, plus phase two. And I think that's the question before us now, I guess.
I'd like to know what phase two would be. I really would like to know what that is.
Understood. The problem you have right now is you've got two failing systems on that end of the building that we want to get replaced in the summer months before we get into heating season again. That's why we did the phased piece of this.
I mean, but if you have them here doing work, it's cheaper to keep them here to finish the building. Okay, we know that. So phase one and phase two, if you're gonna go all in and just do the whole building. Okay, if we have the money for it.
Speaking of which, where would the money come from? Currently, right now, as you heard, we have two sources that we can use: long-term facilities maintenance and capital funds. You do have the money to do this right now. You don't have the money to do phase 1, 2, and 3. That is something that would have to be done later on, that down the road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, would need to be done. That's the use where most of the public is. That's the use where the heaviest use would be. And so that end just kind of made more sense. On this end, the admin building, we would just keep going with the old units until those two funds had been replenished. And I should point out that, and this is what confuses a lot of people, and I completely get why, you have rules and regulations. You're not like a business where you can slide money around from one account to another account. You can't do that. You have certain accounts you can only spend on certain things. So the long-term facility maintenance and the capital funds are two of those funds you can only spend on certain things. For example, you can't take that money, and you have the money there. You cannot use that money to pay for salaries or to pay for employees or to pay for benefits. You can't do that. So you have funds right now, and I know this is difficult sometimes for the general public to understand, but you cannot use those monies for anything else other than maintenance and capital. And so that's where you would get the money to pay for the phase one that we're talking. The other phases would have to wait.
I mean, do we have enough money to get 50% of it paid for in the LTFM money?
You mean only do half of it?
No. We got enough money to go
No.
50% on the project?
The whole thing? No.
No, 50% dollar-wise of what proposed our LTFM. Do we have $600,000 in the bank, in the LTFM money to start that project? Are we just
Yes.
going to go? All right.
And is there something else that would maybe take priority over this?
Everything.
Well, that's my question. The LTFM is a 5-year plan, and if we take a 2.5 million out of that, what might be lacking or we might not have money for? I don't know that, and I know that's a 5-year plan. I don't even know what other things we are planning out for 5 years and what it might cost. So I don't know that we can afford this
And
at this point in time.
And the answer to that is that, which is an excellent question, because you do need to pay attention to what else is out there. You will have 3 new buildings here. The older buildings are not going to be used, so you simply are not going to have some of the fix-up that you currently experiencing and have experienced in the past. We are using long-term facility maintenance and capital funds on the gym by North Star, where North Star will be the old, I'll call it the Virginia High School gym. That is being fixed up, upgraded. We're using some of these same funds to do that. This would be the next larger one. I am not aware of any other larger item coming up right now that you need to save money to spend on something like this. This is your biggest need right now.
So what would the balance be in our long-term facilities maintenance fund if we spend it on this?
You won't have any.
Okay, we're going to.
This is, yes.
Down to zero.
Complete it.
Yes, this is,
Depleted.
it's depleted, and then it gets replenished because you always get money from the state of Minnesota every year.
The problem with that is that the older your buildings are, the more money you get. The newer your buildings are, the less money or zero you get. And so they might not be replenished like they've been in the past. And so we don't know. I don't know that.
But this will always be an old building, though.
Well,
Can I ask one question of Spencer on it, because he's here? Not to put you on the spot, but the older buildings that we really aren't maintaining too well right now because we know they aren't going to be used after everybody moves into the newer. If I remember right, there's a lag time where you'll still get deferred maintenance dollars for one more year on those, is that true?
We'll get them as long as they're still open. So next year, some of our older buildings are continuing to be open, so we'll get more money in that fiscal year. But once we close them, they're no longer part of the calculation on long-term facility.
Really, right now, we've got a lot of new facilities that don't require a lot of deferred maintenance. We've got some old ones that we're stepping out of that we're still going to get the same amount of maintenance money for. And that was a part of what I think made this timing the best to bring this building up to date. And the reason we picked that end is the issues we have students in the wrestling, obviously, those air handlers and the issues we had with that. And we're really going to rob parts and pieces from those old units to keep these units going until you make the decision on this side of the building. So it's a lot that went into this, and the fact that the boilers are near the gas meters and we can get all of that done ahead of time.
Any rebate incentives for going high efficiency? Any rebate incentives?
You know, that is something to check into. If I remember right, Virginia, and on the Evelyn side, we got pretty good rebates on the power side. Over here, you're in Virginia Public Utilities. I'll have to check into that.
This is Minnesota Power, and this building is still Minnesota Power and.
VPU though.
yeah,
No, but
it is. It's on this Virginia side.
I know, but the gas meter's Minnesota Energy, I do believe, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there your
Yep.
rebate incentives would come from that.
On that. Well,
There should be some pretty heavy ones if you're going to go to
yeah,
energy
they're
management.
definitely more efficient. And they're more efficient, as you know, when you put them in the building, as opposed to being outside. You're overcoming the cold weather, the ductwork. So.
I get that. Not a big fan of ground-mounted rooftop units.
Exactly.
It's kind of redundant, huh?
It is.
How do you access that?
Every time I say ground-mounted rooftop unit, she laughs at me. So.
Yeah.
How do you access, I mean, how would someone, if it needed to be accessed in the middle of winter, how would you access it?
So the big air handlers are in the room. They're
okay.
inside. That's the advantage of that. Just the coil goes up on the roof, so it's kind of like the radiator of the car is on the roof.
For the air
Very
conditioning.
few moving
Okay.
parts up
Okay,
there.
got it.
Just one fan and a coil, like a radiator.
Okay.
And that, Deb, you said that, I mean, if I looked at that schematic, that you can gain access to that room direct access from outside, correct?
You do not gain access.
You have to come into the building to get access?
You can come in the loading dock door and come down the corridor to come in that way.
I thought there was a door to the
Go
outside.
to that slide.
Yeah, the door
Escape door?
right here.
Oh, so that's your only entryway? Okay,
Double set of doors so you can bring those units in.
all right.
Why don't you go back?
That's,
Yeah, I guess that's all you've got.
that's all right. You don't have to answer the question, Pat. I just thought that I was looking at it because it was so small on my piece of paper. I thought there was a doorway to the outside directly into that mechanical room.
Yeah. I'm just going to give you the big perspective here, because this is, we took a shot out of that floor plan, but this is your loading dock back here,
Okay,
and that's the door to get into it. So you would just come in down the corridor in front of wrestling, and you're right into that. What we wanted to do is make it accessible to the common area, the loading dock area, not going through wrestling, not going through away or one of the other areas. So, okay.
I had a couple of questions and a comment. So just remember, we still have the James Madison building in Virginia. We haven't even talked about what we're going to do with that. Keep it open, sell it, demolish it. If the NLC, ALC is going to move or part of it's going to move. And I guess I'd like to know how much we've already put into this building, including the purchase price. I think it's millions and millions of dollars. And I'm not asking you now, Spencer, but I think that's an important number for us to know. And then after this, it's probably another million. So it'd be good to know the total cost of this building so far.
A lot, you're right.
You paid 2 million for this building, right?
0.1 or
Okay.
2.2.
You would never build this building for $2 million.
I'm just saying,
You know.
that's an important number.
I can
And
tell you on construction, when we did the amendment last meeting, it was, I believe, 388,000 is what we had spent in this building on little projects all over, and we consolidated those into that Amendment 8, and then this 1.2. So basically, you're up to $2 million in improvements after purchasing the building as of this.
that, we spent more than that just on the wrestling side.
Well, you did
Yeah.
approve the wrestling space, which is an upgrade on the inside, yes.
Yeah, times 2, and then equipment and stuff too.
That
So,
was 600 and
yeah,
close to 700,000.
yeah. And one more, another couple of questions. So I think that's an important number for us to know, plus we're not done yet. And then about the roof, how old is this building? How old is the roof? And have you examined it to see if it's, if it's a good roof? I had heard something a year or two ago that maybe when it was first built, the roofing, whatever structure isn't as good as it could be.
We did a full building assessment, and we gave that report to the facilities committee, and we can reprint that and give that to you again. The roof is a little unique because they did an EPDM, or what most people call a rubber roof,
Yeah.
over the top of a sloped roof that was a metal roof at one time. The age of that, I gotta go back and look to see.
Building was built in 2000.
Yeah, but it
2000?
was put on later, that
Right.
roof, so.
It was put on probably 7-8 years after, because it didn't meet the energy efficiency standards of this is zone.
Is that why it was?
Absolutely, because I remember, I mean, if you look at all that ductwork, where all that ice came down, it just smashed the rooftop units. It smashed them every time the ice would slide off the roof. So they came in and they put in more insulation and a rubber roof.
So if that was 2008, it'd be about
About
14 years old, and normally those roofs are a 20-year roof, to answer your question.
You could, I
About
guess,
6 years at least of life left in. There aren't a lot of penetrations up there either, so.
So that's something we need to factor in about 6 years, some roof costs. Well,
so we got a motion by Director Reardon and support by Director Lotiger. I do believe all the discussion has been had at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No. Roll call. Do a roll call.
Yeah, do roll call.
Okay. Director Reardon,
Yes.
Director Lotiger,
Yes.
Director Westby,
No.
Director Yuhan.
No.
No. Director Sorkin,
No.
Director Dahl,
No.
motion fails. 4-3.
Oh,
I would have been a yes.
oh, wow, you didn't say, okay.
I know, it would have failed 4-3.
Okay.
Okay, Daddy was a yes. As much as I hate to say yes, but that's beside the point. So we're moving on, okay? Sorry, guys.
Okay, so the implication, so I take it was not approved, correct?
Not approved.
Okay, so you now have, a space over there that doesn't have any mechanical units, and you're aware of that. Because these units were to feed the orthopedic associates side as well as feed the wrestling side that are in very bad disrepair.
Can we get more information? Get
Yes.
back to the building, building grounds or
Yeah.
something, or
Yeah, I'd like more information, really.
like what phase 2, and then
Yeah.
Dr. Smith says no phase 3, which was never mentioned. Now there's 3 phases. I thought there was only 2. So I guess I'd like a little bit more information and then make a better decision.
I agree with John.
And this discussion came
Is there
up,
a phase 4? I'll just ask him.
No. No.
this discussion came up about this building, about taking your existing ductwork, okay, taking the rooftop units, using your existing ductwork that's inside the building, okay? and put in twinning two high-efficiency furnaces, modulating two-stage variable. I don't think you can twin those together, but you can twin high-efficiency together. Take two 5-ton condensing units, and now you're not only going to be 16 SEER on your modulating furnaces, you're going to be 96%, true 96% on a forced air.
And that's cheaper, is that what you're saying?
And this design does reuse that ductwork.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know where, I guess I'm just speaking for myself, and the board may remember or recall, but I just said, why don't we just bring the units inside? Because northern Minnesota demographically, we're using our furnaces at least 10 months, if not 11 months out of the year. The heating system is going to run in July, could run in August, definitely run in June. You know what I'm saying? That, taking those inefficient rooftop units that are mounted on the ground, okay, bringing them inside, tying into the existing ductwork, and then just using our existing ductwork right now. Because all this stuff is all flexible ductwork up here. Yeah, there's some mold issues supposedly. Ductwork can be cleaned. There's people that clean ductwork all the time.
Mold issues are in the units on the outside.
Well, then get rid of them and put them inside. Right inside the wall.
And that is what drove this design, so.
And mold is not a problem, as a big problem as people think.
But the design went from just a nice, simple multi-units, to just tearing everything out and going to all brand new with an elaborate energy management system, which I get. That's where we're moving, but this is not a building where we're having students and kids and stuff like that, We got wrestling.
Walk back there?
Well, I'm just saying,
Your wrestling area, your golf area, there's a lot of kids in here, so I get it, it's your decision, I just want you to be aware of the consequences of it, that we now have one space that has no mechanical units in the southwest corner there, and we also have the wrestling that is in a very ailing unit that you'll have to put money into those units at a minimum before winter.
Who spec'd out the scope of work? Who spec'd it out, you?
Spec out the scope of work?
Yes. Who said we want this furnace, we want this boiler, we want these air handlers? Who did that?
CMTA, which is the mechanical designer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that being, okay, now we're moving on to item 5, consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda with the items that were removed, 5.4, 5.5, and that would be it, correct?
I moved that we
Okay, so motion by Director Dahl, support by Director Sorkin. You support?
That's fine.
Did you support it?
No,
I heard you.
I will though. I didn't say anything.
Okay, I thought you.
5.4, you didn't pull 5.4, you just wanted to discuss it, correct?
Here, no.
Noel pulled,
Noel pulled 5.4.
and I pulled 5.5.
Okay, very good.
So support by Director Sorkin.
That'd be fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on to 6.1. Betsy and Dominic, you're up next. We're going to talk about the Goodman Auditorium farewell concert update. Shelley, you're next, Shelley. Hang in there.
Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Noel. We're here tonight to give you a quick update on the Goodman farewell concert. So we came about a year ago to ask permission to do this for May 20th, 2023. And we've made a lot of progress since then. So Superintendent Schmidt invited us back to give a brief update, and we will try and stay brief. Couple of things that I wanted to let you know. Date was set, like I mentioned, and we have made a lot of progress. We have a great committee working on this. It's myself and Dominic, and then we have Director Wilcox from your symphony. We have Director Matt Craig from your choirs. We have Miss Barb Baldrica and Jan Carey. So this is the group that's been put together, and then the general manager of the Sabi Symphony has been working with us as well, Lisa Buckman. So since the last time I came and presented, we have raised the funds to hold the concert. So that is, we secured a grant of $10,000 from the IRRR for marketing and advertising. We secured, Sheila Wilcox secured $10,000 from ARAC to do both the finale notation from Dr. Claassen and help offset some of the symphony costs. Remember, the City of Virginia, the Economic Development Authority in Virginia, and Revive all gave $1,000 each, so that was $3,000. The Virginia Community Foundation came on with an additional $2,000. We secured a Blanded Boost grant for $10,000. And then we've gotten some sponsorships and individual donations in, and then we've started to sell tickets. So the total budget was $34,000, and that's what we've raised thus far to pay for the commission from Dr. Renee Klassen. And I'll let Dominic talk about that really quick here.
Yeah, so thank you so much again for having us. It's nice to be back. Yeah, the commission is pretty spectacular. So I went to school for music. I graduated from St. Cloud State, and I did a lot of my music education also at Bemidji State. I went on a full ride music scholarship, so I've done a lot of music in my day, and look forward to doing this piece for sure. Dr. Renee Klassen, we commissioned him to do a 4-movement symphony orchestral piece, which is just absolutely stunning. The first movement is called The Land Awakens, and it features vocalists in the choir and the full orchestra, and it simulates the movement, the glacial movement that sort of formed the iron deposits that make up the Mesabi Iron Range. Really stunning. The second movement is The Settling Years, which features folk tunes from Norway and Scotland and England and Finland and you know, pretty much everywhere thematically throughout. There's some Russian themes in the orchestra that you'll hear, so that's voice and orchestra. And then the third movement is, I forget what it's called specifically, but it's the mining one. That's the big one. That's just orchestra, no voice. And that features the big booms of the drums and all that fun stuff and mechanical sounds and all that fun stuff on stage to sort of simulate the sounds of what's actually happening. I think he actually briefly touches on the two strikes that happened back in the early 1900s too. So he like has some cut of the music and it's just dead silent for a while. And then he brings it right back to life. It's absolutely stunning. And then the fourth movement is all about the direction forward. So it's truly a Mesabi Iron Range symphony project because it features Adam Pod, who's a friend of mine. It features his music of Bob Dylan's The Times They Are A-Changin'. And there's some poetry that they use from Iron Range native Bob Dylan, of course, to sort of make this come full circle. It's about 45 minutes long, so it'll be really stunning to have on the stage as the last kind of big concert, big performance. Good way to close it out for myself and my fellow alumni, of which I believe we have
information. Yep. So remember, this is the farewell concert to Goodman, but we commissioned the world premiere of a unique symphony for the Iron Range to carry forward from this final concert. So Sheila got back to me and said that she has 35 people, current students, past students, and 1 past director signed up to play in the orchestra along with the Mesabi Symphony. Matt Craig responded that as of today, he had 55 community members who have signed up to sing, and that number does not include the choraliers, range of voices, and those choral ensembles in the area. And he estimates we'll probably have 75 additional members along with the Virginia Choir. And he has representation from every decade of VHS alumni going back to the 1950s who will be on that stage that night. And then ticket sales went live late last week, so like Thursday-ish, it started to hit social media and the website, and we've already started selling tickets. They're only $20. There is the ability to give a donation for folks that can't attend the concert but want to contribute anyways, because the intent is to create a fund from this concert that will support music education here at Rockridge long into the future. So we've talked a little bit with Mr. Speltz about that already, and also the Virginia Community Foundation, trying to figure out exactly how to create that fund and make sure that this lives on long into the future, carrying that Goodman legacy forward. We have had conversations with the Goodman descendants around that, so that is something that they're willing to contribute to, and Judy Sagan will be up for the concert and give a little presentation. She's Dr. Goodman's granddaughter, yeah. And then Dr. Klassen will be here for the world premiere of his symphony. So there's some really unique things that will be happening that night, and I see that you have some updates to your closing ceremonies after that and such. So I want to encourage all of anybody who's out there that, obviously people watch your meetings and folks here tonight, please purchase your tickets early. They will be going fast. So, and we have in that auditorium, I think there's 1,500 some seats, but 14 are unobstructed. So, and in good working condition, those sorts of things. So, if you want to attend, you're going to want to be in the audience and purchase your ticket soon. And then Mr. Matt Craig has put out his rehearsal schedule, and that he is sharing out to all of his alumni and things. So if you're looking for that, the first date of rehearsal will be April 18th in the VHS choir room. So for those folks who are looking for it.
And we encourage anybody to sign up who wants to sing with the alumni choir. Just do it quickly because he'll probably be closing it up just due to the limited amount of space that'll be on that stage. We don't want to overcrowd everything, and so just make sure that you do that as soon as you have the opportunity. And in terms of ticket sales, I recommend that you buy them now. We don't have any physical ticket locations, so if you can have somebody help you purchase them online if you need additional help, and or reach out to anybody, and we'll help you purchase those tickets, just due to the fact that tickets probably will have sold out by the time the concert actually comes. And so then we won't have any available at the door, and we don't want anybody to be left out if they didn't have the opportunity to purchase them prior. So make sure you reach out as soon as you possibly can. Should see a newspaper article coming around soon. And another thing to point out is we're in the works of getting this interpreted too for the deaf and hard of hearing community. So a local Iron Range native who graduated from an Iron Range high school will be doing the interpreting, and she's extremely excited to work on this project with us. So we can reach a broad variety of the audiences that the Rockridge School District serves, which is good.
Yeah. Any questions?
No, sounds like a fun event. How long is it going to last?
I do.
Say that again?
How long will it last? It sounds like you have a lot of people.
Typically 90 minutes, yeah.
Hour to hour 15, I think, especially with all the talking. There will be, crying and stuff, so you factor that in. Give it an hour and a half, maybe. So yeah, 7 p.m. performance shouldn't be too long. And then there's coffee and afterwards in the foyer. And then that will be So if you want to do some visiting following, or just see the space one more time. Paul, you had a question?
Yeah, Betsy and Dominic, I can expect that those tickets are going to sell like hotcakes.
Yep.
And has it been discussed that this is absolutely a one performance thing? There wouldn't be like maybe an encore performance if it was so popular. It's just a one-time deal and no encore performance?
Unfortunately, the symphony is prepared to play it once.
Just one time?
Yeah, and the choirs are rehearsing for it once. We will have, obviously, the dress rehearsals that, week and things, but, the symphony costs some money to have them there, and their conductor and all those sorts of things.
They're all paid musicians.
Yeah, so it's a one-time deal. Yeah.
Another thing to look forward to is Minnesota Public Radio will be doing 2 features of this coming up here soon. So an interview with just Dr. Clausen himself will be talking about the music, and that'll be coming up soon. So if you follow our Facebook, or don't, please do just a farewell to Goodman. It's super simple, so look that up online when you get a chance. And we'll share those articles, and we'll make sure that you have the ability to share them as well on the various platforms that you have available to you. And then we'll be doing an interview with them. I'll be going down there to do an actual interview with them here sometime soon too, and I think other select committee members too. So that details will be finalized.
Yeah, doing a lot of publicity for it.
Yeah, and it's really a Minnesota thing, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Nice work.
Yep, very good work.
Yes, so much.
Lots of work.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Up next is 6.2, a presentation by Northern Minnesota Meat Company. You're up next, Shelley and Kathy.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing us to come and speak. I'm Shelley Thompson, Cindy Brown. We're here tonight to share some information on the Farm to School program. The U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Minnesota Department have a program that has actually been out there for a while, but it really hasn't been made very knowledgeable to, especially up here and a lot of the rural areas. So there's funding that goes every year to this program. And what it is that it's a program for the farm to school to connect Minnesota farmers and kids by serving local food, educating and encouraging families. As we were working at Cindy, I did a lot of research on it. I've done a lot of talking to people, and with my travels around, we have grown to just be very passionate about this. So my father was in the meat packing business and feedlot and cattle business for beyond 46 years, but the meat packing plant was there. My dad's 80 years old, and I bought the plant from my dad so he had retirement. And I decided to try to figure out what would I do with the plant and what would be my goal and my mission. So I decided to try to make it more of a community-based type project. And one of the things that fits into our mission is this farm to school program. So of course we really started working on it. There's the First Bite mini grant that's about $10,000 to go to a school. Full tray is around $100,000 a year that you would get. And then there's a $35,000 grant for equipment. Now, that's how it's been handled in the past, but the USDA is going to be putting out a lot more money. And instead of the granting coming through the the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, it's primarily going to come through the USDA side of it. So the granting would be a lot larger. Some of you might be familiar, Mesabi East has participated in this and done a phenomenal job. They've really put a lot of effort into it over these last few years. They were awarded like $99,900 and something on one grant from the USDA, and over I think $99,956, and then I believe around 32 or some thousand on another grant. So basically what they want you to do is that local purchasing. So what our involvement would be is to help encourage the school districts about these grants, what's available, and then our part of it would be we're trying to encourage agriculture, trying to get farmers to not stop farming altogether, to encourage them if they're raising 2 head of beef, why don't you go back to raising that 6, and we'll buy that locally raised beef, and then we will sell it to the school districts and other, wholesale accounts. So I was able to get, we were able to get my family's meat plant USDA federally inspected as of October 11th of 22. And we are the only federal plant north of Sturgeon Lake. And so I'm very proud of that. And the goal is to help farmers and educate them that there are a lot of resources out there. And I think the reason I really like this and get excited about this piece here is that there's an education piece. It wasn't just about giving a grant, providing good food, and everybody talks about it, and maybe even on a political campaign or something, but it's about ongoing educating the children. One of the things they talked to me about is lunch with a farmer. So we would promote a lunch with a farmer day, and we could bring some farmers with us. It could be us, it could be, so we would work with the kitchen and then find out what they're gonna be serving, hand out recipes, give out information on the beef or the pork or whatever it is, and encourage the children to take these little care package home or recipe booklet or whatever we put together, and then encourage them to share it with the family. So back to that family unity of cooking together, realizing what they're eating and what they're, and then comes in the piece of like school gardens. So that's where Mesabi East has really stepped up, and they have quite a bit. They have the indoor like hydroponics and all kinds of stuff. They've really taken advantage of the funding. So I would like to we wanted to just tell you that it existed and that we're very passionate about it, and the meat plant exists. and that we'd be more than happy. I have a packet that I'll leave so that the board, and it's actually a planning toolkit that the USDA puts out. And it tells how to do everything, and as a board, you could look at it if you're interested. But there's people that could help with the grants, or I'm sure you folks that help, or staff that do grants, I'm not sure how, I struggle with grants, but anyway. I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for children to have it either as in their breakfast. It could be our pork sausage. You can't do, there's no hot dogs allowed in the program. So they're very particular. It's all health conscious. This isn't about overpriced food because it's some grant program or anything. This is about taking local farmers and families that are producing fruits, vegetables, meat, cheese. No milk is included in this, eggs, grains. I just think it's wonderful. And I think that the school district would benefit so greatly to do that, and we would volunteer to help in any way that we could, collaborate with the state and anything else to do some of these little educational pieces. We're building a school out at the meat plant to teach meat cutting and smoking and sausage making. It's going to be an accredited school.
And where is your, I'm sorry, where is that?
Okay, it's Northern Minnesota Meat Company. I changed the name. My father might forgive me someday. It was formerly Great Scott Meats for 46 years. And rode off of 169 directly south of Ziegler Caterpillar.
Okay.
So we'll be having a community, a test kitchen, community area, and the educational basis about agriculture, family, farms, trying to get back to that basis of them understanding where everything comes from. And eating healthy, and then also, I came from an old Italian family where food made people happy. With food, we fed everybody. So the thing is that family and friends, and back to that cooking at home. So I don't want to I know we're in limited amount of time and everything, but I surely would like to, I'll leave the packet, and we'd be happy to talk again, or if you have anything that you wanted to put together, or a few people that wanted us to come back and bring more information, be absolutely, but I believe you could get hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in free food. So that alone is just a positive, but this is locally raised, healthy food, and at the same time, the education piece, activity piece.
When is your new school going to be open, Shelley? I know I stopped out there not too long ago.
Our goal was for September.
Okay.
The building's about, not quite 50% the interior part, and the rest of it will go a little bit quicker, so.
And we could offer
Construction, you all know how that goes, but I mean, we set timelines, and sometimes it doesn't always follow that way.
so you'll offer up field trips and stuff like that for local schools to come out there and look at it and.
Yes, so that was my big mission. I really didn't need to be going into the meat packing business with owning 6 other companies and wanting to talk about retiring. But it's my family's legacy, and it's my father's dream. And I have a son and a grandson that I figured that, my grandson's 4th generation, and so that's what I'm doing. Family, keeping the family farms going, and so many family farmers that I grew up with through school and 4-H and FFA and the fair and everything that we've ever done. And it's just a shame that there's not many farms left. Cindy has done just a huge amount of research on the amount of farms that were here, the agriculture that we had in our region up here, and what's left now, and what can we do to encourage that? And we're going to be doing some school visits with, our display that we have for education on meat and some of the animals and stuff. And then we'll be doing a lot of community-based stuff where they're invited out to this. We built a silo ground, it's 2-story, and it's a school and a test kitchen, and so community education classes, they could just come and use it and all of that. So, but we expanded so that the capacity, so that it could be profitable, and at the same time, we can reach out. We can sell now because we're USDA across state lines. We can export out of the country if we ever got to that point. But I'm going to go back to what my parents did years ago in the 80s, and that was we raise the meat in our feedlots. We buy from the local farmers who are raising them, and then we sell to the local stores, restaurants, cafes, schools, nursing homes, assisted livings, and convenience stores, and try to provide health, health.
Right.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect fit. I think it's an exciting idea and beneficial to all of our school districts. I'm sure you're going to, have all the school districts become part. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this getting rolling, actually.
And then if you just want to let us know about meeting, there's a lot of information to it, and so I think that to give all that, this packet will have, there's websites and there's a whole bunch of stuff. I wasn't quite sure what was acceptable with, I didn't want to just come and start passing out flyers because I don't know if you can do that. So I just figured I'd give this, and then you have your, way that you can.
Yeah, leave it with us. We'll make copies.
How you go about it, but everything's.
Thank you.
And also, give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to go over anything and help you on the grant, whatever you need. I will definitely be there for that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 6.3, the North Star update. Scott, you're up.
And we have to first congratulate these young people for being very patient with us tonight.
Yes.
Sure were.
If you remember last time I was here, we talked project-based learning, we talked how teachers collaborate with each other, and the other one we talked about is Costa's house, Costa's levels of questioning. How to get from level one with this just one-word answers, and then the second level would be, gathering. But we want to be at the top level, which is analyzing, which is making applications to the real world. So I want to give you a great example from our 4th grade team that's going on right now in school. What it is they're taking the science standards and they're not teaching in silos anymore. They're teaching all of the classes. So the classes are switching. So like Miss Morley is doing magnetism, Miss Theon's doing states of matter, Mr. Tezek's doing electricity, Miss Aho is doing minerals and rocks, and Miss Little's doing the weather cycle. And I have Rami Johnson and Adam Strickler here. They're going to show you a couple of the labs and what they've learned. I brought our special guests, so we're going to come up here by the table, and then they're going to show you what we've learned in our 4th grade science labs that's going on right now. Who wants to go first? Oh,
Turn this way to the.
see the camera too.
Yeah, maybe pull the table off.
I'll pull the table off
So they
for
can
you.
go behind it.
Yep. All right, here you go. You want to go on the side?
I can move the camera over so.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Oh, and Adam, we're gonna have it on this side so the board can see.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
All kinds of changes.
Battery.
Cool.
So what I learned last week in science was electricity with Mr. Tezek, and we made a circuit that comes over and turn this light on.
Can you show us? Does it?
Must have a switch on it, I bet.
Oh, it's on.
It's on. Oh, cool.
Okay.
It's so bright in here.
And
Oh,
then,
it is.
Oh, I see it.
and then,
Very cool.
Adam, as we apply this knowledge, if we look at the lights here, is the circuit open or closed?
The circuit is closed.
What does that mean?
So there's a flashlight. When you click that button, the circuit will push in the open gap so electrons flow through it and turn the light on. But then you push it again, it's closed, then the electrons stop flowing through the circuit, leaving the lights off.
Very good.
Very good.
Bring it a round of applause.
Yeah.
And this is Rami Johnson. And Rami's going to talk about magnetism.
So, last class I did magnets in Miss Marley's class, and I have a jar with just a regular paper clip on the bottom, and I'll make this paper clip float.
All right. Magical presto. Whoa.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So on the top of this is a magnet, and the paper clip is in the magnetic force field. So the paper clip stays up in the air.
Cool.
That is cool. Cool.
And then what are some examples in real life where they use magnets and magnetic forces?
So for a roller coaster, on a roller coaster, how the roller coaster stays on the tracks, there's magnets on the track so it stays down. And in hospitals, they use this thing that can help you look into human bodies.
So
Very good.
Right.
Very nice. Very
So
good.
did you guys,
information.
guys enjoy? So did you guys enjoy learning about that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Much more to come.
Yes.
All kinds of good stuff.
Hopefully, yeah.
So then, as we move to the future at North Star, our teachers are going to be teaming and doing a lot more of this next year, and then the year after when you get into our new building. So this is just kind of the start of it. So this is our fourth grade model of how they're hitting the science standards. And the key is they're not teaching in silos anymore. You just don't have one fourth grade class. They're all working together and collaboratively on these labs with the students.
Very good.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
That was six.
I love that.
Me too.
Let's put them up first next.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best one. That's the best one you've given, Manny.
All right, thank you.
6.4 is co-op sports.
Hello.
Hi, Chad.
Hello.
Cooperative agreements. Activities committee met and had some questions about participation numbers in cooperative agreements. So on the spreadsheet that you've got there, it talks about what sports we host and what sports Mountain Anasabi East hosts, and what are the numbers and where are they from. So this is informational. I guess if you have any questions about those numbers, I can do my best to answer anything that you might be.
The only question I have is, when you're talking a senior, that's this year's senior?
This year's senior.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the 22-23 school year.
Okay.
So all of our sports will be combined as of when, now, or?
They already are, yeah.
Okay.
Next year, when we're in one building, right now, technically, all of our sports are cooperative agreements.
Okay.
Every single one of them. Next year, we just host, that cooperative agreement goes away, and we have to count the full enrollment of the entire building. So that's what's going to cause us to move up a class in some of the activities, like basketball and football and baseball, because we'll no longer be a cooperative agreement. And then when they classify cooperative agreements, they take the 100% of the host school or the biggest populated school, and then 50% of the smaller school.
So what effect will this have on our cooperative sports?
What's that?
What effect will this have on our cooperative sports?
It won't change any of the classifications that we currently have with soccer or hockey or anything other than what we've opted up in.
Any more questions for Mr. Hazelton?
Nope.
Okay.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
All right.
Moving on to six. No. Yeah, that's it. Was there more?
He's gonna talk about,
I'm next.
yeah, he's next on the ice time.
Oh, on ice time. Okay, so Frank, yeah, you can talk about it then. Frank was going to talk about something, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Chad.
So, once again, at the activities committee meeting, we talked about ice time, we talked about recommendations, we talked about
Not waiting until September, October to decide what we're gonna do with our ice time for next year. When I'm looking at this from my perspective, you've got the three options that I put on the paper there. We've got what we did 2 years ago, which was 50%. We did what we have this year, which is approximately 30-70, somewhere in there. And then the proposal on the top is what the coaches and players brought forward to me to move over for next year would be to host all the practices over in Virginia, most of the games, and play a few over in Everett. I know this is an emotional topic. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this as a manager. What is best for our program? What is best for our team? I'm taking the emotions out of it. If you are looking for a successful program, you want consistency, you want the best facilities to practice and play in, that's what you want. So the recommendation on there to do that, practice in Virginia, play the majority of the games in Virginia, comes from speaking with the coaches, speaking with the players, and talking about what is best for the Rockridge hockey program in general. Like I said, it's nothing emotional. It's not, I don't know what's best for the city of Evelyn. I don't know what's best for the city of Virginia. But what is best for our teams is to be centrally located, to have a home, to have weight facilities, to have training facilities, to be able to both practice right after school on 2 sheets of ice and flip-flops, so they're not practicing at 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. So that's where this recommendation comes from. And this is just informational. You guys are the ones who are going to have to make the decision.
Is there going to be a dollar amount that if scenario one is approved,
What
they're
we
going to?
have to do is decide what we want to do, and then we are the consumers. We're the ones who want the product. We want the ice sensitive. This is what we want. What are you going to, prices are you going to give us? And then the school board would have to come back and say, well, that's too high and we're not going to do it, or that's acceptable and we're going to go with it. So it's just moving forward to come up with saying, the city of Evelyn, city of Virginia, this is what we would like to do. And then they can come up with their proposals. It's your job as school board members to decide what we're going to do. I'm a middleman. My job is to convey information.
Okay. It's just informational, no vote here. Okay.
I'm just gonna ask some questions because I've always been a supporter of having some games here in Evelyn at the Hip for multiple reasons, but a lot of concerns have come to me about the safety of the ice, about the softness of the ice, about the edges of the ice coming from the wall, about the length of time it takes for the ice to harden so they can come out onto the ice. Those have all been, things that have come up to me as safety concerns. And I've had a lot of Evelyn Gilbert residents, athletes talk about how difficult it is to play on the ice.
And that is part of the recommendation under the rationale is the safety. And I heard those same concerns from athletes and coaches. I was at 99% of every hockey game in both arenas. And I did see times when our coaches were going out there with buckets of slush prior to the game to try and fill in gaps in the boards.
So my question would be, probably not a question that you can answer, but, the IMEC has been up for a while now, and games have been being played over there for a while. I'm wondering why the city of Evelyn didn't go out looking for grants to update, like the cooling system to get the ice so that it gets colder quicker. I wonder why that hasn't happened yet, because I would assume that people thought this might be coming down the pike, right? That this might happen. Why wasn't anything done to get any grants to try to ensure ice time?
I cannot speak towards the maintenance and towards the long-term plans of the Hippodrome.
And Brandy, we have the mayor of Evelyn here, and Frank.
Be able to ask the question then.
Yeah, probably get that answered.
Okay.
So, All right.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
How you doing?
Good.
Well, some of you might be new to this and some may already know this, but to give you the timeline of this. We started in November. We had a meeting with the Activities Commission, City of Evlith, City of Virginia, hockey coaches, and we had a discussion in November. That was it. We never heard, the City of Evlith, I'm pretty sure the City of Virginia heard from someone, but City of Evlith never heard from the School Board, Activities Commission, or anybody else since November. And I agree with Chad, we said, we're gonna get this nailed down, negotiate something, get something figured out so we don't have a fight on our hands come spring, come fall. We don't wanna deal with this in the summer like we did last year. We went November to, I found out on Thursday that this had hit the board book. Okay, now your concerns about the ice, okay, I went through these concerns here of what was on this sheet. I've only had since Friday to work on this, but I have managed to secure Travis Larson, who is the head ice technician for the Minnesota Wild, to consult with the City of Evlith for any questions, concerns, strategies for the ice plant, the compressors, the brine systems, the pumps, the temperature, the humidity, anything that has to do with the ice at the hip. So we have the best ice maker in the state now. And what he would say is the second best ice maker from the University of Minnesota, from Mariucci Arena. We're gonna get him on board too. So if those two guys can't make ice, then no one can. Evlith's got an aging plant. We're working on the plant. We're coming up with solutions. We have different compressors. They have another 20-ton compressor. They're running sometimes up to 80 tons of pressure through there for the brine system. There's a lot of things going. There's a lot of moving parts, but it's getting done. It's not like we're ignoring a problem. To be able to get these guys to volunteer to help us, even consulting during the season of humidity controls to control the hardness of the ice, not a problem. We'll get it done. We'll get that taken care of. Off ice training facilities at the Hippodrome. I believe you built a brand new school with a brand new weight room. I don't know, maybe there isn't one here. We have one?
In the high school, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do we need to be paying for two? Because part of if you look at Virginia's proposal from last year, ice time is only $115 an hour in Virginia. Okay? But after you add in all the ancillary charges to what it is, it comes up to $207 an hour. Because they're charging you for locker rooms, for weight rooms, for coaches' rooms, for training rooms. Okay? So I'm wondering where the money's coming from here. Because you're talking $207 an hour. I can pass these out. When we had our meeting in November, I think you were there, Mr. Yuan, you were there. This is the proposal that the City of Evlith provided to the committee. Okay? This proposal has two different options, and we said we were okay with either one. Option number one was the boys play in practice in Virginia all year. The girls in Evlith all year. Dedicated locker rooms, no changing ice, no moving back and forth, everything's good. Option number two was a split season. Boys in Virginia from November, December, then come to Evlith for January, February, girls vice versa. Home games played at the rink you're practicing at. Easy switch. City of Evlith, I talked to Bob, it was $150 an hour. We'll do a 5-year guarantee with the school board for $150 an hour versus $207 an hour. Okay? We had offered carryover time. If you pay for the time and you don't use the time that year, we will credit it to next year. So you don't pay for $500, $250 and not use it and pay for it again the next year. If you don't use it, it carries over to the next year. Okay? Use of the auditorium, the Evelyn banquet for the city auditorium for banquets, all whatever we need to do to get this done. We're in a situation here where the issues with branding, okay? Matamidi just won the state championship, Class A. Matamidi doesn't have their own rink. Matamidi shares a rink with Stillwater. The rink is owned by the St. Croix Recreation Center. The entire amount of branding that Matamidi has at their rink is a 4-foot by 4-foot inlay in the rink. Okay? 8 of the last 10 years in Class A and AA, or 7 of the last, 7 champions out of the last 20, if you put the 2 divisions together, 7 out of 20 practice at combined rinks. They don't own the rink. They share the rink with another team. Wayzata at the Plymouth Ice Center. North Metro, Totino Grace, Matamidi, Blaine, Spring Lake Park, Holy Angels, Richfield. They don't own their rinks. Okay? They don't have any branding. They don't have any badging. They don't have color choices. They go and play. They seem to get championships because Matamida's got 2 in the last 4 years. And they don't own their rink. Okay? We're talking about state-of-the-art facilities. State-of-the-art facility. Not having to go back too far. I went back the last 10 years of Class A state champions. The average age of their rink, 37 years old. Okay? 37 years old. We're not Class A, we're Class AA now. The average age of the last 10 Class AA champions is 47.7 years old. So when someone stands up and goes, new is better, new is great. Braemar Rink in Edina is 65 years old. Would you take Edina's team and Edina's program if you had to take Edina's rink? Okay? War Road put on a weight room. It's actually a pole barn in the parking lot of their practice or their facility. I mean, we're having this issue here where you're saying new, guaranteed success. We have a new rink, right? We got a weight room. We got a new rink. We're going to win. The facts don't say that. Okay? Hermantown's rink is 35 years old. It's not new. It's by far not the newest rink in the state. It's not doing it for them. The city of Evelyn proposed what you did. You already did this. Now, I'm not asking you to recreate the wheel. You did this already. In 21-22, you split hockey 50-50. Right? That was the plan. That's what says option number 3, which I believe should be option number 1, because option number 1 is I think is the best for both cities. But option number 3 on here was what you did in 21-22. You split the hockey 50-50 down the middle. Did you have anybody come and complain to you? Did you receive any complaints from the citizens of Virginia, the citizens of Evelyn, the citizens of Gilbert? Did you? I don't remember there being not much of an uproar because prior to the vote in the information sessions to form this new district, that's what was said. We're going to split hockey. Don't worry, we're not going to take hockey out of Virginia. Don't worry, we're not going to take hockey out of Evelyn. It's going to stay in both cities. We're not going to do that. All right? Miraculously, the city of Virginia signs a contract with Iron Trail Motors for $50,000 a year for 20 years. And in that contract says, all Rock Ridge High School hockey will be played at the Iron Trail Motor Center. I know you had nothing to do with that. You don't agree with it. You didn't authorize it, but it's in a contract. The reason why Virginia came to you last year for 100% of the hockey is because they had a contract to fulfill. The reason why they're coming to you this year for 100% of the hockey, they have a contract to fulfill. It's not just about the hourly rate. $50,000 a year for 20 years for fulfilling that contract is $1 million. So Charlie Heady taught me. There's more at risk for them than just a few, if we cut the hours in half. The city of Evlith came to the negotiating table and said, here, 50-50, you guys pick whichever option on there you want, we're okay with it. One meeting. We were never informed of another meeting. We were never spoken to again. Checked with the mayor, other city councilmen. No one ever reached out to us, period. I find out on board book that a meeting was had, a recommendation is made, and in order to make a recommendation, you're going to get 100% of the hours from Virginia, someone must have talked to the city of Virginia and said, you got the time. We were left out of this completely.
I don't believe that to be true.
Well, you don't know, need it to be, okay, maybe it is, maybe I'm wrong. But I do know for a fact, we were never spoken to. You were at the meeting, we'll get back together, we'll hash this out. I know new committees were formed, the election happened, new committees were formed. So I assumed after that happened, new committees went into place, we're gonna do this. It wasn't for me to call a meeting. It wasn't for me to say, what are we gonna do? We waited. We're at the point here where we want to form a new district. So we asked, 12, 14,000 people live in this district? What do you think? Okay? What do you think about forming a new district? So we put it out there to the people. You put it out, guess what? People argued, people fought, but people voted and decided, hey, we're going to do this. All right? We're going to form a new district. Now, according to what I've heard, by talking to 80 hockey players and their parents, not the other 12,000 people, and I don't know how many of those are taxpayers, but I guess a half of them, we're going to let a bunch of high school kids and their parents make a decision on where the hockey's going to be played. Okay? We have an arena in town here. The most famous hockey arena in the state of Minnesota. You do realize your entire goal is to get to St. Paul, right, with this hockey program, to play in the state tournament, and to win the Evlith Trophy. That's what it's called. You're going to take the Evlith Trophy and drive right by Evlith and go to Virginia. We aren't asking for control of this. We're asking for what we were told when this whole situation was formulated. Willie Speltz can tell you, and I'll tell you what, my boss used to always ask me, what about tomorrow, whenever I was negotiating, whenever I was working a contract deal. If it was Boeing, Lockheed Martin, whoever it was, what about tomorrow? He would ask me, what are the decisions we make today, how are they going to affect us tomorrow? I know Willie's had some phone calls from some donors to this program who are not happy. I know that if you in fact go with option one and take, Fiercely United, right? You remove hockey from the town with the oldest hockey arena in the state, from the town where the Hockey Hall of Fame is. Right? You're going to remove hockey because of shiny new building. The next levy you propose, you might as well not drop off ballots in Evlith. Because this is not what we were told when we voted for this. And I'm fully in support of this new school. I don't have a problem with that. But now we're talking shiny and new, like that's gonna be the solution. Okay? Virginia's Miners Memorial Building was built in 1957, the Evelyn Hippodrome was built in 1922. Since that building was built in Virginia, Evelyn's won 2 state championships. In that crappy, dangerous building down on the east side or west side of Evelyn. The building doesn't matter, it's the program. The building got great, shiny, clean, new. We'll get the ice figured out. I got the best guy in the state coming up here to take care of it.
But I just don't understand why you're coming now, like why it's being discussed now about that ice time. Because when you say about the, a couple of things, when you say about the 21-22 season, was there any complaints? The ice has been a complaint. The ice, and I'm not about shiny and new. I grew up in Evelyn. I've been a supporter of having games at the hip and about the 50-50. I was a supporter of that. But when I have kids and coaches and Evelyn Gilbert athletes and their parents saying the ice isn't safe, it's cut up, it takes forever, to harden, they have to wait outside the doors to wait for the water to melt. I mean, my son just played hockey down there a couple weekends ago and came home with soaking wet goalie pads because the ice was water.
Well, the brine system.
So
I had a discussion about that today.
So you're acknowledging
in the cooling lines.
So you're acknowledging that there's an issue with the ice.
And that's why I'm bringing in the guy.
Well, the one thing I would say on that is you can go, and they could have had their company in Evelyn, which would have been fine, but the Rodrigos built and put plants in all the best arenas here. You can just go ask them to help with. Yeah.
We did. As a matter of fact, the city had a discussion with them in December, and they didn't have time. But this has been attempted. I was just on the phone with Scott Collins today, matter of fact, and they were trying to resolve the issue with the brine lines and the impeller pump, and we're told to just wait until they let the ice out, then we'll come and work on it this summer. This is, we will deal with your ice issue, okay? Travis is going to drive up here, get the guy from the U of M from Mariucci Arena. I don't know if there's anybody else up here who knows more about making ice than those 2 guys. If there are, I'll find him too. I'll get him in. We'll take care of the issue, right? The branding is a non-issue. The branding doesn't mean you got a championship. I mean, Matamidi twice in 4 years, and they have a 4x4 chunk. And on the other side of the ice, on the other blue line, it says Stillwater High School.
Matamidi is getting is funding for a new rink, just so you know.
Yeah, they're attempting to fund for a new rink.
And Hermantown is building a new rink.
Yes, they are.
And the other thing I wanted to say is I believe the Blue Line Club pays for the weight room. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, yeah, okay, Blue Line.
Because so we have it clear.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to understand the other ramifications. Like I said, what about tomorrow? The donors, the levies. What about the $30,000 a year in advertising that takes place at the Evelyn Hippodrome every year that goes directly to youth hockey? The city of Evelyn gets none of that money. All the advertising money in the Hippodrome goes to youth hockey.
But youth hockey is also separate from the varsity sports.
Yes.
And JV sports.
Yes.
When you're talking about the hip being utilized, it is still going to be utilized.
I understand that.
And
I agree with you. But I'm telling you, if you take high school hockey out of Evelyn, that's not what was talked about when this whole consolidation plan was formulated.
And that's not what I supported either.
No. No one said, we're going to take, give us 3-4 conversation out of Evelyn and everybody will be happy. The questions came up about, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about hockey? And all the answers that were given were, don't worry, we won't take hockey out of one town or the other. This looks like you're taking hockey out of Evelyn. And 2 games a year is taking hockey out of Evelyn. I hate to tell you. no matter what.
Again, it's not shiny new buildings for me. It's the safety concern and the ice.
If I take care of the safety concern, do we have an issue?
If, in, like, sitting here right now, this second, I would say that you get that ice figured out and we'll have another conversation.
We're not making no decisions tonight. This is all just information.
But I'm just telling you my position because I've been in support of it. I've been in support of having games
I will
there.
get Travis up here. Johnny Mayasich is down in Tampa with the athletic director from the U of M. He gave my number to the athletic director. The head ice maker at Mariucci Arena is going to call me. We'll get that taken care of. I will get the brightest and brightest up here, and we'll get that dialed in. We're working on a grant proposal as we speak. I'm also working on some private donation funding. If we need to upgrade the compressors at the Hippodrome, I'm not going to wait for funding grant proposals. I'm squeezing some people to get some money if we need it to fix this.
Well, and my hope is that you're going to continue to do that because we've got youth hockey that's playing down there
I know,
constantly.
and we're going to take care of them.
So like even a weight room, you know, regardless of if the varsity or JV hockey is being played there, those youth could utilize it too. Bantams can utilize it. Pewees can utilize it. So I hope that continues regardless of what the school district ends up doing.
Well, it will continue, but we want high school hockey in Evelyn. We want high school hockey in Evelyn just like we had 2 years ago. Okay? We want high school hockey in Evelyn just like we were told during the lead up to the vote. We want high school hockey in Evelyn. You have the best, most famous hockey rink in the state of Minnesota, in this town, and no one's holding it as a sense of pride.
I absolutely do. Again, I grew up in this.
Me too.
I absolutely do.
You should be proud to say our team plays at the Hippodrome. Not our team's going to play 1 or 2 games a year at the Hippodrome to keep the people in Evelyn happy, because that's what 1 or 2 games is. We'll shut up those ball hunters. We'll just play 1 or 2 games a year over there.
But, and you and I talked about this last year. Your proposals are 50-50 or 50-50. That's it.
Decide what you want. Well, what's wrong with 50-50?
Well,
What part of the 50 am I not understanding?
what part of,
We're not here to negotiate right now.
yeah, we're not here to negotiate, but I mean, last year worked out well.
And for the sake of keeping this meeting moving, we have a lot to get to. Okay, and I thank you for your time,
I
Frank.
will get the information to you, and I'll get Travis. We'll put a report together on the conditions, what we need to do at the HIP. We'll get it all to you.
And we don't want to drag it on. Last year, we drug it on and it affected the youth hockey scheduling big time. So let's keep the conversation moving and
I assume by this time we would have a few more meetings, we would be able to nail this down, but I'm working as fast as I can to get the information together.
Okay, thank you, Frank. I didn't mean to cut you off, but there's, okay. 6.6, a discussion on the 2023-24 school calendar.
So members of the school board, what you have in front of you is every year you need to approve an official school calendar. It is the one we follow, parents follow, teachers follow. It's the one we pay attention to. You are the deciders on the school calendar. You don't need to get approval from anybody. You don't need approval from the teacher group, the ASME group, the parent group. You are the deciders on this. And so, however, what we have done, we did sit down with some reps of the teachers group. We did sit down with some reps of the AFME group, and we talked about it, what a school calendar might look like. And so what you have in front of you, this is for discussion only right now. I'm not asking you to approve it, but based upon what you tell me, we might make some modifications and maybe bring it back. It's up to you, but you do need to approve an official school calendar. So
the one thing I'd like to see change is I'd like the graduation date to be Friday. I just do not feel like, people need to choose.
so to get that graduation date on Thursday that week is the first week of playoffs for baseball, softball, tennis. They will all have a game that night. It's not even like an advanced week in the playoffs. You're asking a lot of athletes to choose baseball or softball or graduation, including my son.
You're saying just 31st is
May 30th, there will be a game for sure,
Yeah,
for lots of athletes.
We used to do Thursday graduation, but we moved it to Friday because people were having to choose, and that's just not fair. So I'd like to see that graduation takes place on Friday.
I agree.
That
yeah.
sounds reasonable.
I'm for that.
This is what I need to know.
Yeah.
What about time? What time do you, like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7:30? What, do you have?
One thing to keep in mind going forward too is oftentimes the all-night grad party happens after that. So the later we push that back, the later the kids get in there, wherever they end up having the all-night grad party, the later they'll end up getting in there. So, I mean, I think, hasn't graduation normally been 6 or 7?
6 or 7.
It says 7 o'clock here.
Yeah, I thought.
I mean, we're.
They were 7.
We combine next
We're
year.
gonna
I
be fine
forget.
distance. You're probably gonna move that earlier because you're gonna have a lot more people
Right.
across the stage.
More people.
6 o'clock, I would think.
Yeah.
Yep, I think 6 o'clock.
The other comment I would make is I'm sorry to see the spring break not make the calendar. I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was a one and done only thing. Was I the only guy that enjoyed spring break, or what happened?
Well, the choir is going on a trip next year though, too, to, when are they going to New York?
I don't remember.
And is the band going?
Well, and that's one of the problems. Typically, in the old districts, there was a system where the various bands, choirs would go on trips. I think in a perfect world, in the new high school, we would like some synchronicity, so the choir and the band, they're going at the same time or something like that. But with the group I was with, when they're talking about it, at the moment, they weren't hip on the spring break. Now you're the ones who make the decisions. So if you tell me you want to put a spring break in there, I'll talk and then we'll put a spring break in there.
What was the reason for not wanting a spring break?
Because for most kids, they don't go on the trip. It doesn't impact them. And the reality is a lot of kids, they don't have the money to go anywhere. And so for some people, it's more important to get out earlier in June or late May than it is to take a spring break. Other people have the exact reverse opinions. They want a spring break. It doesn't matter to them when they get out in late May or early June. And that's probably the biggest debate that always comes up year after year.
When would that spring break fall if we had it? What month?
Well, one is you could tell me if you wanted me to add one where you would like it, but typically
I mean, we had it last year. Where did it fall? April?
March.
Okay.
Second or third
Okay.
week in March, usually.
Okay.
So a group of teachers and administration get together and they come up with the calendar, correct?
Yes.
Committee.
Right.
So if they're making these recommendations, there's got to be a reason why teachers are making that recommendation, I would assume.
If you can remember, last year it was they did a poll and it was, I think it was 38 or 48 yeses and 48 no's for spring break. We were the deciding voters. I mean,
Yeah.
you can have a small group that chose to not like the.
It's the duel between I want to get done in late May, I want to get done as fast as possible, versus the people who want to slow it down and have a spring break. That's really what it amounts to.
Well, it affects families too, not just teachers and students, parents and families.
Okay, so what do you want to, what's this, you want Noel to bring this back to the committee and see?
The only thing I've heard here is that we want to have graduation earlier in the
That's
day
my
on
only-
Friday, the 31st.
That's my only
6 o'clock.
That's my only deal. I'll go along with what the committee has, said that they'd like. I would assume do surveys go out?
Well, here's what happened. There really is no calendar committee. There isn't. It's just a group of teachers. I get union reps. I say, hey, who do you want to get? Ask me. Reps come to the meeting. We talk about it. And then they send it out to their members for feedback. I double check with them. They had done that. They really hadn't heard any feedback from their members that said, we don't like this. And so they said, we're okay with it. That's where it came from.
All right. John said we had a poll or something
Last year we did have a poll.
Yeah, so somebody voted and it was close.
Right. This year, they're telling me we're okay with it. We did not conduct an official voter poll. We could if you tell me to do it, but do you want, we can.
My only concern is that 31st.
Yeah.
I'm good with
the graduation night.
too. Because really, honestly, people that want to go on vacation, I've had friends that we had spring break and then they went a couple weeks later and took their kids for a week. So.
Go when they would like
When
to
they
go.
go.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so approve this calendar, Noel, with the date change, graduation date to 31st at 6 o'clock. Can you approve
You
this?
can if you would like to.
Anybody,
I'll make a motion that we approve the calendar with May 31st,
I'll second it.
graduation night.
Dr. Westby, that we are going to approve this calendar with graduation on Friday, May 31st at 6 o'clock. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. 6.7, discussion on the Minnesota open meeting law. Okay, Noel, you want to shed some light on that? I was asked by a board member that there's been some issues with committee meetings, and it's a ongoing thing with open meeting and having 4 board members at a meeting. Trevor Helmers did give us the opinion. Can you?
Yes, this is, I need the school board to tell me what you want to do. Because you've seen the opinion by Trevor. Basically, we do have committee meetings. Committee meetings are not school board meetings. Both districts have had them for years. They're very common for school boards to have committees on various topics, and the themes and what the committees meet on are very, very similar to the ones we have. That's not at all unusual. So most of the committee meetings, they're not legal, they're not school board meetings in the sense that they must be posted 3 days ahead of time. They do not make decisions, they make recommendations. And so the committee will talk about various things. We'll get a sense of what the committee likes or doesn't like. And sometimes their recommendations go forward to the full school board, and then you hear about them as a full school board, and then you make the decisions. Here's what the issue is. How many board members can be present at a committee meeting? In MSBA, and they're kind of give you advice, they talk about a quorum. A quorum means, in our case, 4 board members or more. That means a quorum. That means a quorum can make decisions, etc. In Minnesota open meeting law, a quorum of board members is not a desired thing. In fact, there are some specific laws about having 4 or more board members together without officially posting the meeting, letting the public know. And the whole purpose of this is so school boards and city councils have the same rules. So school boards, in this case, they don't meet somewhere, make a decision, and nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knew about the meeting. And so the school boards have rules about where you can meet, how many days notice for an official meeting. So I need to know from this board, we have had instances where 4 board members have been to a committee. You don't have on your official board committees that you approved, you don't have 4 or more board members on any of your committees. So, but we have had instances where 4 board members have been present. This is making some people uncomfortable. They don't like it. They're wondering what is going on, why wasn't this posted? So the reason why we put this on here is for the full board to discuss in transparency to all, how many board members do you want at a committee meeting?
I'm the one that asked this to be on here because I have walked out of committee meetings because there was already 3 board members there, 2 people from the committee and another board member. And that's not fair to me. I get to the meeting and the one was about the cooperative sports and activities. And I knew nothing about it because I didn't attend. Because I won't put our district in harm's way of getting an open meeting law violation.
So as I read the lawyer's thing that came to all of us, if we post it, and if the extra board member comes and sits and doesn't say anything and is coming as a constituent, that is fair. That's how I read it.
What I read, it was it's a real gray area, and that
Well, he did
there really
say that,
wasn't,
yeah.
there wasn't a deciding like this can't or you can. It was just like, I guess we have to make up that decision. I'm wondering, have we had issues with board members? I'm just asking, so the fourth board member needs to sit quietly and not participate. Have we had problems with board members trying to participate in a committee meeting?
The problem is, by the statutes and MSBA's process on this, is that the fourth board member is getting the same information as the three that are on the committee, which means if it came to a board and that fourth board member would have more knowledge of what happened at the committee meeting, and they're not supposed to have that knowledge. You can't.
What are you talking about? I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense, but go ahead.
Well, if you want to continue to come, Paulie, I'm just going to have to file a complaint, that's all.
Okay, do what you got to do.
You can't come, that would be like me, you're on several committees, me coming and sitting on yours.
What's wrong with that?
Because it would put us at an open meeting law violation.
You said that fourth person was going to get information that they shouldn't have.
They're going to have information that the other board members are not privy to until the board meeting.
Well, except the other committee members have that meeting. Have that information. No, just go on. Let's go. Okay.
I don't know what the need is to come to every committee meeting just because you think something's going to be said or done and you won't know about it.
Don't make accusations, Tim. Don't.
Well, I'm making it.
Okay, you're making. I'm not going to respond to that.
Good.
For me, I really don't even know how I feel about the situation. Because I know it's a gray area, so that's kind of how I feel. Like, it doesn't seem like I really just don't care. I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't really have a strong opinion on it. However, committee meetings could be potentially recorded, correct? Or we could have it videoed online, right? I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying then technically we information, right?
Technically, we don't have to videotape.
But we could.
Our meetings. It's a cost.
Right. I'm not saying that we should, but my point is, like he just said that, well, then Polly has information. Well, if we did record it, then everybody would have information, right? So I feel like that's kind of a moot point.
That's the point.
Maybe it's just up to the board to decide what we want to do. But like I said, it's just kind of a gray area.
Yes, because as the information goes, eventually all the information a committee would be having should come to the full board anyway.
And it does, yes.
It does.
No, it doesn't. So, all the information doesn't come back to the board. That's why I attend, because I want to be the best informed board member that I can be.
Attend every single meeting.
Doesn't matter.
You don't attend every single committee meeting.
I didn't say that. I want to, okay, I'll rephrase that.
Thank you.
For myself, I want to inform myself the best that I can to be an informed board maker individually.
But I think that you pick and choose which ones you want.
I can't make them all. Could you make them all?
Okay. But you pick and choose which ones you want to go to.
I go to as many as I can, Brandy.
We did get advice from the attorney. It's for as long as board, I'm pretty sure Virginia, Evelyn Gilbert has always worked this way. I don't see any issue why committees can't be the way they've always been. If we are posting them, then you've got that 3-day rule. It's just, and I've been in the same boat as Tim, where I've gone to a meeting and I don't want to be a part of that, because if you knowingly participate in a meeting and there's an open meeting law violation taking place and you're aware that that's happening, you can be fined. You can be fined. You're liable for that. And I'm not doing that. So I'll say that I'm leaving.
It's the biggest thing is perception. And it doesn't matter to you, but it's perception. That's why they have the open meeting law.
No perception in the law about, anyway, I'm not going to argue with you. I have one question though. Lisa's question wasn't answered. If we post them all, and we should be posting them all, there's no problem. If a quorum is there, and just a few meetings ago, a committee meeting, we posted to say, here's the committee meeting. There might be a quorum of board members present, but no action will be taken. That's a disclaimer. Or just posting them. What's wrong? Just post everyone.
And then you go back to the meeting of a whole on everything.
No.
Oh, that would be
You can
kind
have
of
a
sort
committee
of.
of.
Well, we had to do that.
Wait, now, you didn't answer these questions yet. That's what happens all the time. She asks a question or makes a comment, or I or anybody,
What
and
was
then
the
you go on
question,
to
Lisa?
something else.
What was your question?
If we post the meetings,
That
if
would
we
be-
post.
It'd be no problem.
Be a question for Noel. I'm not
If you-
legal counsel.
If you post every single committee meeting.
As we should.
And you say that there might be a quorum of the school board there, whether it be 4 or 7, then based upon, you saw what Trevor said, you are not in violation of Minnesota open meeting law. However, that's not the current situation right now. So if you tell me you want to post every single committee meeting, you need to understand a couple things. One is that no committee is meeting without a minimum of 3 days lead time for anything.
Well, that's not true, and I can show you that. But anyhow, why would we not?
Let him finish.
Holly,
Finish.
I'm explaining to you what this board needs to pay attention. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm saying this is what would have to happen.
Apologize for interrupting.
We just need to all understand that every single committee, they can't meet unless we post 3 days ahead of time. It's safer for you as a board, so you don't run afoul of anything. Yes, we would have to put a statement in there that would say that a quorum of the school board may be present, but no decisions are going to be made. If you do that, yes, then this could work. But at the same token, I feel obligated to say, if you have 6 or 7 school board members at a committee meeting, and there's only total of 7 school board members, it looks bad in the public's eyes. But that doesn't mean you can't do it from a legal point of view. However, we're not doing that right now. So if you want me to do that, you can. Right now, you are at risk of violation of Minnesota open meeting law. And that's what Trevor was trying to tell you.
Can I ask a question then? So if we aren't, why are we not posting committee meetings 3 days in advance? Why aren't we doing that? And why wouldn't we want to do that? So you just admitted that.
Try, but there's times where our schedules don't mend it.
Wait now. Schedules don't override open meeting law, right?
No. You got to ask people when they can attend, and then when everybody agrees on that date, then you can post
But
it.
why are you saying that we aren't posting 3 days ahead because people's schedules don't allow it? I mean,
I believe there's been times where we haven't phoned a date, and then we're like, well, we got to make a decision, and it's not 3 days.
Make a
maybe it's
decision.
year two.
Committees don't make decisions. Sorry.
Well,
But anyhow, why?
To make a vote on it, on how we want to have it.
Please answer the question. Why are we not just having 3 days notice for all of our meetings?
Okay, let's go back in our time machine here to what prior school boards have said, because this is not the first time this issue has come up. This board did talk about this topic, and at that moment in time, I don't have the date in front of me, the board did say, we do not want four school board members there. They told me, don't put in there that part about the quorum of the school board may be present, and that's what I've been doing, based upon what the past school board told me to do. So there is history here. So this is not new, and so if you want to change that from what a prior school board did, you just need to tell me that you want to change it.
I think for protection of our district, I think that's how it's going to have to be addressed, even though I'll never attend a committee meeting.
Nor will I.
That I'm not on, but if I'm asked to fill in, I
Or
will.
will I? But I mean, we should have to follow the rules. I mean,
I would just say go forward with saying that there's a potential that there could be.
Hosting them with a quorum maybe present.
I would agree with that.
I would
That would probably solve the problem.
That would solve the problem. Yep.
Okay.
I have another question.
disagree, but.
So, Trevor's opinion of last year was given to us again. And
What did the conclusion say? Go down to the conclusion of his findings.
it's, well,
That's where,
listen now, in a lot of it, he says, it could be perceived. It would be likely for this and that. He didn't come up with a definitive statement that said, this is absolutely been established in whatever, case law opinions, that this is illegal. He's saying maybe it could be considered that. And just leave that as it is. That's my opinion. But, so it wasn't decisive. And second of all, I don't know what's confidential about this memo from him. It's not, I have a question to ask you. Is this considered that it's necessarily confidential material, or is it just general legal information and an opinion from an attorney? I think this should be made public because there's nothing confidential.
I think that's just boilerplate.
Well,
it's
nothing confidential. I'll make a motion right here and now that we make this opinion public because there's nothing confidential and private in it.
Okay, it's at this time that I must advise the board that your attorney stamped the word confidential on a document he sent you.
And I know that boards, because the Evelyn and Gilbert board did before, board can take a document and make it public, because we've done it before.
Well, it's kind of funny, we're discussing it like it's not confidential anymore anyway.
So
We're having a discussion about the open meeting law.
Well, I make a motion that.
The 6.7 had nothing to do with making that public.
It's related. It's
Well,
related. So
I don't.
I'm making a motion that we release that as public information. It's just general legal information.
And a motion by Director Sorkin to make his legal opinion public. Is there support? Support? Support?
I'll support it.
Ooh. So by Director Westby. Any discussion?
Yeah, and I would just like to ask the question, what do you consider in there that is confidential or private and not public?
I trust his opinion.
I trust the attorney. He's got the education in it. If that's what he says, that's what I'm going with, Polly.
You know what?
And we've had this discussion many times.
Don't cut me off.
We've had this discussion many times. You asked the question and I'm answering.
You've answered your answers many times too. So
right.
wait, now, I'm just going to say that it's just automatically stamped on the bottom. This is confidential. And everything you get from any attorney, it's a disclaimer on the bottom. So
Anything I get that says anything I can just.
from an attorney.
Okay.
Telling you has the right to make a document public.
Why do we want to make it public?
Why would you want to?
Because people don't know what we're talking about.
We're
Shouldn't our
talking about
public
it
know
all.
about just general legal information that we're getting from an attorney, which is totally okay in the eyes of the.
In your opinion.
In your opinion.
Okay.
Totally okay in your opinion.
Okay, wait, now, then you get an opinion from Trevor that boards can't make documents public if they want to. I'd like to hear what he has to say about that.
So, I think this is setting the wrong precedent because you do this, and you're going to be setting all the other documents towards like disciplinary action towards.
No, that's different.
Well, Polly, you're working your way into it.
It's
I'm not saying.
called general legal advice, Bill. General legal
I know,
advice.
but
I do
you're
think
not an
since we're
attorney.
talking about it though, maybe people will have interest in it and won't.
Anybody can look up the open meeting law.
But
I know,
not
but
what our attorney is telling us.
Right, but we've been talking about what the attorney has said in public right now. That's where I'm at. I'm, like if it was confidential, then we should have never have discussed it at the meeting in the first place.
Kind of true.
I guess.
Yeah.
Guess so. All right.
Okay, all those in favor signify. Okay, now you're voting yes to make it public.
Just the letter, just this
Just
one
the
letter.
letter.
Yep.
All those in favor of making this letter public signify by saying aye.
I
Who said aye?
did.
Okay, so we got Polly. So it's 3. All those not in favor of making it public signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So it's 4, 4-3. Fail, motion fails, 4-3. Okay. Treasurer's report next. We're done.
Okay, I get ready here.
It would be March 31st and April 10th payments report and treasurer's report.
Okay. I am doing the treasurer's report. And let me just make it big enough so I can see it here.
Like this.
Yeah, oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, as of March 31st, 2023, in our checking and savings accounts, the balance for Miners National Bank is $4,515,429. Franson Bank, we have $2,927,774. First National Bank of Gilbert is $1,616,292. Minnesota Trust, PMA Securities, we have $653,284. The Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Funds, we have $320,125. And the total balance is $10,032,904. For our construction bond funds, for Ellers Investment Partners, our balance is $18,437,878. For our OPEB funds, the balances are, for Minnesota Trust PMA Securities, $8,965,349. For Mid-America is $5,095,639, which totals $14,060,988. And that is my report.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I second it.
By Director Lotiger, support by Director Westby. All those in discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Spencer, you're up next, 6.9.
Good evening.
Uh-huh.
So today is information that we were gonna go over at our finance committee last week before the snow came on Wednesday. So this is the information we shared that day, so we can share it with everybody. The first part of it is the general, estimated revenue changes and expense changes we brought to the board back in March. Nothing has changed in those assumptions. I'll just quickly go over, just to remind you what those assumptions were. We were using 3% in basic aid increases from the state of Minnesota. We were using the carryover method as far as our ADM, average daily membership of students, and that brought us up to 50 students using those. And we're using a 2% increase on our contracts for all those things estimated. We really would have a balanced budget between those revenue increases and those expense increases. However, we did talk about the fact that we're gonna lose the ESSER funds 1 year from now. We have them for 1 more year for next year, but we won't have them the following year. So the board and the committee discussed about splitting that reduction and reducing about $580,000 this year, $580,000 following. So that's kind of where we were with the assumptions that we used. And then through that committee process, we discussed, could we look at some other areas of expenditures? So I did add a list here. So this list you haven't seen until this board packet of different categories. And I tried to put them together in major categories so you can see those. As far as, for instance, utilities, about $1.5 million we spend utilities district-wide. So you can see where those dollars are going. And I have property liability insurance, building repairs, maintenance, and you can see all there's probably 20 different categories that we can look at. Remember, these are estimated budget dollars, estimated numbers we're looking at for next year for these areas. Fully aware that some of these might be a little bit higher, especially with inflation. Some are maybe gonna be lower for not using things such as. I don't know if you want me to go through each one, probably not. But did you have any questions on the major ones? Any more information you want? We could set up another finance committee if you wanted to look at these in particular.
Spencer, is the percentage after it says general fund and then it says percentage, is that?
Good question. So that's the percentage of the overall fund, overall budget.
For this year,
This would be for next year.
for next year? Oh, 23.
So for instance, we're looking at a total Fund 1, 32.6 million. That first utilities is 1.54 million. That equates to about 4.5% of our overall budget we spend on utilities. So that's what that percentage means on the right.
And so, do we have a comparison of like year over year? What our budget was, what our actual expense was, what our percentage was, and then compared to, previous years? We've been consolidated since 2020. That's only a couple of years, but I've seen other budgets where they go back 3 years, so you can have an idea.
I can run that information for you.
And when you budget for, utilities is what it is what it is, that's your estimate, or is that what actually, of course, now our
These
bill.
are all estimates for next year.
Okay, all right. So I think it'd be helpful to know the actual budgeted amount and actual amount, and then a ratio.
For this current school year, we're tracking at about that dollar amount.
Okay.
And I know that we'll be taking off at least a portion of a couple of buildings, but we're also adding a new building. I don't know exactly what that's gonna cost, so right now, we're keeping it a little bit more in there, because I don't know how much we're gonna be able to save at the Gilbert campus, knowing that plant heats everything. So there's some estimates in there. I will guarantee you I'll never get utilities 100%.
No, of course not. No. With the weather.
Okay.
I did ask Stacy for a seniority list, just for, to see if there was retirees or where we're at, and she provided them, so we can pass those on now, I guess, if we have an appropriate time. There's 4 different ones here.
We all used to get that anyway, every year, so that's.
That's what I thought we
It's
used to get.
good information, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so, let's see.
And then the final page of the packet I gave you, that was the information that was at the beginning.
You get off.
I did.
Before.
Spencer, this was more of, like that information I, or so, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. Good, Spencer? Great, thank you.
There's 3 of these.
Get it down here.
Here,
Yeah, so
I'm gonna pass them over.
one was for this year, for teachers, one was for next year she made, and then they asked me was by department or.
And here, I think, Randy, that's 4.
There you go, there's 3 of them.
And so these were signed off by the respective unions, I think, because I think they're supposed to, okay, that they're, what do we got here? Well, that's 2. That's me, that's one for you.
Here, wanna pass those that way?
Oh, this is for you, I guess.
Well, it's a whole packet.
Yeah, just,
All right, thanks. I thought they were.
okay.
I don't know what it is.
Do you want one, Bill? Yeah,
I guess I could.
and that was, wait,
Oh, this-
okay. What do you have? Is that different then, or?
No, they're all different, yeah.
There's 4 different ones, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We doing
I
this?
only have one.
No, here, I got it.
All right, just for information, it's not for, just for information. Okay,
Thank you, Spencer.
yeah, thanks, Spencer.
Thank you.
So it'd be 6:10 we're at now, right? You would.
Yep.
6:10. Okay, go ahead, the closing ceremonies there now.
Members of the school board and for the general public, just to let everyone know that we have 3 events coming up, 3 major events coming up. One is the official closing ceremony for Evelyn Gilbert High School, which is June 1st, 6 PM. And then the same thing also at Virginia High School, an official closing ceremony at May 25th at 5:30 PM. We'll post those in the newspaper, have a program for people there, and so we'll do the official closing ceremony. Now, this is different than the legal closing ceremony. This is just the public closing ceremony. And so we'll post those, and just so everybody knows, board members are welcome to attend. We'd love for the public to be there. The entire purpose is to talk, share about the memories of those buildings, and because these buildings did stand for a long time, and they have served many great teachers and kids over the years.
So when will the hearings take place then?
We're going to officially post the Virginia High School one. That one will probably be in early May.
Okay.
But I'll update the board at our next meeting when that one will be.
Right.
And then also the opening ceremony for Rock Ridge High School will be Thursday, May 11th at 5 PM. And all the public is welcome to attend. We'll have all of the facilities open. You can even walk on the football field if you would like. Go down to the baseball, softball fields. There'll be games going on, so you can watch the games. And then we'll have the whole high school open, so you can see the high school. We'll have a ceremony. We will have tours available. We'll have some food for people to munch on and snack on. It'll be fun. So that will just be the opening ceremony for the high school. And that's all I wanted to do for tonight, is to update the board on those three upcoming events.
Thank you. Thank you.
Board members have
Were
any
there
questions?
3 of these or 4?
I don't know. Ask
We
John.
have 3.
I don't know.
Ask
I
John.
have
3. I have 3.
Should be one of the yellow.
There's
I don't have a yellow.
black and white,
Yeah.
actually. They're black and white.
Okay, I'll get.
A couple of colored copies.
All right.
Oh,
So we got, moving on to 7.1 policies, I do believe. Go ahead, Noel, you can elaborate on why we're
Yep,
back.
policies board. I know you love talking about Public Policy 206 and have just been waiting for this opportunity. So we need to bring it back because there was a very minor clerical error in which MSBA on the policy you approved actually deleted the word address. So if a visitor comes up, MSBA recommended you don't need to ask for the address of someone who wants to speak. That was not in the policy you approved, so we're bringing it back. The only change is we've deleted the word address. So if somebody wants to talk to you, they do not need to give you the address. So that's what this is all about.
I'll make the motion to adopt this policy.
I'll second it.
Yeah, motion by Annie, support by Westby. Any other discussion?
So that's on all three of our things. It's also on the form, that there's no address on the form too. We got 3 documents, 206, the guidelines, and then the form.
Once you approve the policy, we'll change the other ones.
Okay, good.
Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're down to item 8. Consider approval request from Tracy Erickson McMurrow, representing the class of 1991, to take possession of the VHS Pride sign, which is originally donated by the class of 1991. Can I get a motion to?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Director Lager, support by Director Reardon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 8.2, consider approving the update of the account and signers for the district financial institutions to reflect Rock Ridge Public Schools.
So moved.
support.
Moved by Director Reardon, support by Director Yuhan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 8.3, the equity plan had been removed for no further discussion at this time. Meeting announcements, our regular meeting will be held on April 24, 2023, at 6 o'clock right here in this building.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion by Director Lager, second by Director Westby. All those in favor signify by saying aye to adjourn.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.